Welcome, guys, to the Soul Immersion Masterclass on the gift of answering your soul's call, crossing thresholds with undeniable spirit to heal, transform, manifest, inspire, and lead. I know this is something near and dear to my heart. I feel like it calls to those with extraordinary courage. And it's not always easy to navigate the unknown and cross these thresholds, right? So it helps remind us of that undeniable spirit, and it's a joy and an honor to be a guide on your path. And I think we all work together, right? Like there's a synergy and a harmony with us being here today. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate your presence. I hope this enriches you, inspires you, and moves you in one way or another. And again, always open to explore with you your feedback. Any questions you might have throughout, just let me know. And again, towards the end of the presentation, we'll have time for some Q&A. Okay, so I'll be sure to check there. Okay. I am Michelle King, Metaphysician, Visioneer, Mastery and Magicking Coach, owner of Michelle King Coaching, the spiritual and physical wellness center for whole being, and the Magicking Center, where you are the source of your love, power, and truth. I am fascinated by our human and spiritual potential and the power of our creative intelligence to support us in realizing our true potential, which is really part of this integration and evolutionary process of answering your soul's call to extraordinary living, which we'll be exploring more today. So how will answering your soul's call support you in this masterclass? Well, I'm just here to remind you that these calls, these pulls, these nudges are all happening to align you with your highest good, your highest quality of life. Because the more we can expand our creative resources, intelligence, connect with that within ourselves, the more we access our true potential. Okay, so this is all supporting you in realizing what may at the time seem impossible. And so that's where it's kind of like the Iron Man training of realizing this undeniable human and spiritual nature. Okay, so the evolutionary path will invite you to resolve resistance and interference that ultimately provides the training grounds for you to strengthen your metaphysical muscles and integrate consciousness. So everything that's happening in your life in the 3D is happening to support you in strengthening your metaphysical muscles, while at the same time revealing and reminding you of your true essence, your true creative power to heal, transform, manifest, inspire, and lead. Okay, so this is all supporting you in aligning and recalibrating your energy, because it's all energy, right? All aspects of consciousness, which is the mind. Okay, so when we can balance and integrate the mind, self, soul, and source, the experiencer, the observer, the creator within ourselves through our experiences of life and our relationships, then we integrate and merge with, our spiritual nature. Well-being is whole being. And so we get to discover those aspects of oneself by our human experience. So that is essential for us on this evolutionary path. And so everything I'm sharing with you today is something, I've discovered and am journeying. This is a never ending process. It's like, we do an Ironman, we take that leap of faith and we continue, we do it again and again and again. It's like training, right? So we just become more skilled. We become more in tune with our intuition. We become more aware of what's to come on the spiritual path. So we no longer fear it or resist it. Yes, it might be challenging, but we know and understand that we have the resources to navigate it all, because we're bringing consciousness to that, right? We're bringing consciousness to our experience of life, and we're choosing how we want to show up, how we want to navigate the highs, the lows, and everything in between, and stay focused on disciplining the mind, right? Focusing on our targets, focusing on our soul's impulse because we know it's guiding us in alignment with our best interests. It's guiding us in alignment with true abundance, fulfillment, peace, joy, love, and all of that gets expressed through our spiritual nature, because the human nature is conditioned, it's polarized, it's rooted in judgment and lack, right? So it's part of our experience. And so often I feel like it's misunderstood that we kind of try to reject that or dismiss that or make it, wrong in one way or another. And trust me, I know I have a very strong inner critic who has showed me along the way, and reminding me along the way to soften that experience by not resisting it, but understanding those aspects are part of our human nature. And when we can bring consciousness to that, we actually are coming more from expanded levels of consciousness, because true love, authentic power, and truth come from expanded levels of consciousness, our soul and spirit. Okay, so in that process, then you're not dismissing it, you're actually integrating those aspects. And then with consciousness, bringing choice, your power to choose in alignment with what you know to be in your best interest. And you can align with that by resourcing your soul's language of intuition. It's connected to source. It's kind of that middleman between the spiritual and human nature. And so when we start to merge with that, partner with this higher intelligence, we're able to navigate the human experience and the spiritual realm in synergy, in harmony, right? And know the truth of who we are as the source of our love, power, and truth. So again, it's all aligning you. So often when we're in pain or struggle or conflict, we're coming from the lower level of mind. So our soul is like nudging and saying, hey, try this. Hey, call this person. Hey, make this move, or, something happens in life that may not be in our control, but it creates a disruption or a change that's actually aligning us. So everything's always trying to align us with life, vitality, harmony, which is our spiritual nature. So just a brief overview. Initially, we'll identify where you are on the evolutionary path, and I'm going to go through the 3 phases, keep it super simple. And then we'll explore the metaphysical gifts that come with answering your soul's call. These are all aspects that I've realized within myself. And so I've kind of put this together as the sun, as, this solar experience for you, and these rays that come as you start to integrate and merge with the source of your creative power. And it's really cool to see how this cycle evolves, and you can then identify where you are and understand it so that you can welcome this leap into consciousness within yourself and experience of life, because you're like, wow, this is actually happening for me, noticing what it's strengthening within you. And as you do, realizing more and more who you are, the true essence of who you are, and the purpose of your life experiences, right? And at the end, you may be wondering a few things like the role of your soul, does everyone get a call from their soul? And what happens if you don't answer it? So we'll go over that too. So identifying where you are on the evolutionary path for clarity and direction. This is an aspect of also being able to call your power back, right? Because when we understand this process, we're like, okay, I actually am on my path. I am on my way. This is part of the process. I see it. I get it. Cool. I can breathe. Now I can resource that energy that I would have been worrying about and direct that in alignment with, what's next. So as I mentioned in a video before about leaping into the lake of consciousness within oneself and experience of life, when you say yes to that, you're really diving into the unknown. So you're jumping into this lake, and you will drop to the bottom where it's murky, it's not clear, it's a bit scary, it's dark, right? So we know that that's going to be an initial aspect after you say yes to, let's say, a move or a change in a job or a relationship, or maybe you've had like a life-changing circumstance that now is, creating a pivot, in your life where your reality is no longer what it once was, and you're being invited to trust yourself, to align with your intuition, to follow your truth. So when you do that, initially it's like, whoa, what did I just do? Kind of like an elastic band, you stretch, right? And then all of a sudden it snaps back. It's like, whoa, what did I do? That's that restriction. So we can freak out. But when we understand that that's part of the process, it's like, we can breathe and then access greater levels of our creative intelligence. So then once you make that leap, you are going to start to rise and see where your threshold is, where your norm is, and say, wow, this is, my comfort zone, or so this is, or I'm noticing how this is uncomfortable. I'm stepping beyond the norm, what I'm used to. And that can be scary, right? Confusion, conflict, indecision, overwhelm, and exhaustion. It can be overwhelming. So when we understand that that's part of the process, we can say, okay, how can I meet this? Right? And then ultimately we're being invited to release the anchors that are keeping us in our past, or keeping us stuck, or keeping us small, that aren't in alignment with what's in our best interest. And we do that by bringing consciousness to it. And once we do, we start to release those anchors and rise to the surface, or expand in consciousness, where we get clarity, where we get truth, where we get integration, right? We see the bigger picture. We're able to discern what isn't in alignment with our best interests, and take aligned action for our highest good. Okay. So as I mentioned, initially it's going to stir up all this resistance, fear, confusion, dissonance within our system, thinking of that as energy. So you see all the dirt and the muck and all this stuff, right? And as metaphysicians and sovereign engineers of our life, who are walking the human and spiritual path, right? We understand this is part of the process. We actually celebrate when we get to see and meet our fears and our insecurities, because we're like, this is like pockets of power I get to call back, right? So we look into the shadow, we look into the darkness within ourselves, expressed through our reality and experience of life. So just like this hermit here, holding this light, looking within and lighting our own path, we get to say, hey, okay, all this has been stirred up in me. I feel it. It's uncomfortable. I don't like it, right? You get to have all those opinions about your experience, because yes, you are human, right? So, but we understand it is happening for us. And then we get to activate our metaphysical power to liberate ourselves from perceived limits, and ultimately reclaim our power from the 3D, from the external world. Right. So if it's money, let's say you lost money, so often we can say, that it has power over me, right? Does it taint who you are as a being? No. What is it inviting you to activate within you? Is it safety? Is it security? Is it stability? If it's all energy, we get to resource those cues that we see and are reflected in our world, to say, okay, what is this inviting me to merge with? How can I claim this back, right? And we do it by embracing it, right? And when we do, there's no resistance there. Initially it'll soften, and then, it's like, if you've ever been triggered before, oftentimes it shows up in the family dynamics, because they're closest to heart, right? So, noticing maybe what triggered you in the past and what doesn't anymore. There's no more resistance there, right? Especially if you've done the inner work with that. So the hermit is all about resourcing this as wisdom, as, lessons learned that you get to resource as your creative intelligence, and direct in alignment with what's being called forth, with what wants to emerge within you. Okay. And so again, we welcome this experience, because we know it's going to strengthen our alchemical muscles, and our ability to transmute and liberate and resource our creative power, okay, and access our free will to consciously and deliberately choose. But what's really important here is that we're going within and accessing our creative intelligence. So we're not just thinking it, but we're accessing higher levels of consciousness to partner with the universal field of absolute potential. Okay, so we're resourcing our imagination, our intuition, our dreams, those nudges, those impulses. Okay, we're using the elements of fire, air, water, earth, and we're implementing all of that to support us ultimately throughout this process. So the three phases that we will inevitably go through are, number one, a release, number two, a renewal, and number three, a realization. Okay, so you can see that with the green here in release, renew, and realize. So you are at the center of this in this diagram as the sun, as the source of your ability, of your reality, to transmute these limits and reclaim those aspects that have been in the dark, that have been hidden from you. So when you take that leap and say yes and answer your soul's call, it's going to show you those aspects that are being invited to integrate, reclaim, and embody. Okay, so that first phase is the release. And this is where we let go. As I was talking about, if you jump into that lake, we're bringing consciousness to those anchors so that we can say, I let you go, in partnership with the field in conscious surrender. So there is a systematic approach to that, but we are in partnership with the field. Okay, so that initial phase is to release. Then we transition to renew, where we are activating our metaphysical power through expanded levels of consciousness by alchemizing those limits into limitless potential, accessing our free will to choose the reality we want. We see the old paradigms, we see the old patterns that are no longer in alignment. Maybe we've outgrown them, they once served, but now you're transitioning into something expanded or just new, right? An experience maybe you never had, a relationship energetically that you've never experienced, that you get to discover first within yourself. And so you are claiming your power by this renewal phase, okay, through the integration of this alchemical process and you being able to resource your unique creative intelligence and your intuition to meet life energetically and align with, your inspired direction as you navigate the unknown and answer your soul's call. And that third phase is all about the realization, right? The embodiment of your truth, of your creative power, the knowing of your worthiness, the practice of these life experiences where you are going through the release. The difference from the old to the new now is that you're in partnership with this creative intelligence, this field of absolute potential. You're no longer navigating the healing aspect from the lower level of mind, the should, the shouldn'ts, the judgment zone, so to speak. You are coming from the level of your soul nature, which is rooted in acceptance of true love, of compassion, and also power, being able to discern what is and isn't in alignment for you. And that renewal phase is going to activate that change maker process, because you're saying no to the old, yes to the new, in alignment with your intuition. So you know it's clean, you know it's clear, you know it's balanced, you know it's guiding you into the integration of wholeness, merging with your soul. And so all along, it will help develop the 3 mastery magicking principles of discipline the mind, exercise the body, that's meeting life energetically, resourcing your intuition, and fulfilling the spirit, ultimately answering your soul's call, right? Fulfilling the spirit. It's like the energetics of the heart, courage. That is such an essential aspect of taking that leap of faith, right? Into the unknown. That's why it's not for everyone. And I say it requires so much courage. It also requires consistency, consistent training. That's where the disciplining of the mind comes in, and understanding our human and spiritual qualities so that we can navigate it, because it will be confusing. But when you can align yourself with your target, align yourself with your North Star, align yourself with your vision that you specifically and uniquely are being called to invite into your life, to experience in your life, then you know you're on track. And so it just helps us resource energy that we maybe in the past would invest in worry, invest in fear, invest in doubt, and transmute that and discipline the mind to focus, say, no, I see you, right? I feel you. Is this in my best interest? No. How do I want to show up? And we get to direct our mind in alignment with fulfilling our spirit, because we know it's aligning us, right? So, and then we'll get into those are kind of the phases. We're going to get a little bit deeper into that, but I won't go much more. And then we're going to talk about the gifts, which are actually part of this as well: the heal, transform, manifest, inspire, and lead. So part of that release, which we've talked about, is this system of meet, merge, and move, which I've often talked about in previous masterclasses and on some of those YouTube videos, right? But ultimately, this is allowing us to release the anchors of our life, the limits in our life, whether those are people, places, circumstances, habits, paradigms, or ways of thinking, lifestyles, choices, the inner dialogue we have with ourselves. When we understand that that's not in alignment, and we can wholeheartedly meet these aspects of self from a expanded level of of consciousness, whether that's in a meditation or journaling, or just that innate knowing something's got to shift, something's got to move right within yourself, then you are creating potentials of new reality. This is how we change karma, right? So, but first we have to bring awareness to this. This is the energy of peace. This is where we actually get to experience true love, because we're coming from the level of our soul, which is, unconditioned. And so that's why I say, in order for us to experience true self-acceptance, it has to come from expanded levels of our spiritual nature or soul nature, okay? And when we bring consciousness to those aspects of self through our relationships and experiences of life, because they will show us exactly where we're out of alignment, as well as where we are in alignment, right? We get to integrate and reclaim our power through expanded levels of awareness, conscious choice, and aligned action, as well as reaffirm what is in alignment for us. And we can strengthen that muscle too. So ultimately, just like any transition, like graduating from school, getting married, starting your own business, a shift will happen. It's inevitable. And we get to choose. We get to do a life review in this release phase and say, I see how this was happening for me. What did this teach me? What did this show me? What did this say about what is and isn't in alignment for me that I'm welcoming and inviting into my life right now? How was this essential to what it is I'm manifesting or realizing, making real in my life at this time? So we want to treasure those golden nuggets of our past, right? It's all essential. And then bring consciousness to that, this tipping point, this middle point of power where we get to choose, right? From an expanded level of awareness and looking at the past and potential of the future from this middle position of peace, expanded levels of awareness, love, right? And grace, okay? And in partnership with the field of absolute potential to support you, to guide you, to direct you, okay, with ultimate well-being. That second part is renewal. So you can very easily think about this as, okay, I've done the release. I know they're all interwoven, these phases, right? When you focus on one, it influences the whole. Okay. So it's not like, oh, that's done, next, part two, right? Like it's all interwoven. So renewal. This is going to be maybe even what initiates the change, right? Like, oh, something new is happening here or needs to happen here. So thinking about what you're welcoming into your life, what is emerging through this transition. It can be refreshing, like a new lease on life. What can you be curious and excited about in what's to come? Okay. And I know there's like the release process can be a bit of grief of letting go of those old identities, which is absolutely normal. But when we understand that, we have room for that to move, and we don't hold on to it. We're not dragging that into our current reality and therefore our future, right? So we get to choose what we want to focus on, basically, and allow the natural evolution of that grieving process, because that can come in waves and can come and go when you least expect it, right? So allowing that to naturally release, to naturally unfold, all while the renewal is happening, right? So it's kind of working together in synergy, in harmony, in partnership. And during this renewal phase, you get to reaffirm these principles of disciplining the mind, exercising the body, fulfilling the spirit. This is your power part. This is the power phase of bringing consciousness, of disciplining the mind, using discernment, right? Validating what isn't in alignment for you. So this is the practice. This is the field work. This is where you get to adjust, right? And so often it's like you make that leap and then it's like, whoa, but I've said yes to this and now I feel like old stuff is surfacing. This is part of the process because it's helping you gel, this new reality, this new potential within yourself. And so again and again and again, you get to validate, nope, that's not in alignment. So the old stuff may continue to show up for a bit until that is solid within you. Okay. So look at that as a way to experiment, a way to strengthen your knowing, a way to express your truth. And so this is all part of it. And every time you do, you're aligning with your vision, with your soul's quality, and learning in the process. It's just like anything in training, a sport, learning a language, driving a car, as you train, you gain confidence. You realize, oh my gosh, I have these skills. I can do this, right? I'm getting more in tune with my intuition. I know how to call upon it. I know how to actively engage it. I'm getting responses. This is what's unique to me. This is how spirit moves me. And so all this time, you're getting to learn that and stay. And as you do, your level of awareness starts to expand, your creative resources start to expand, the insights you get, the innovation that you get, the downloads that you get, the impulses, the synergistic opportunities and invitations all start to show up for you, right? The more that you are in alignment, you're saying yes, you're looking for it, welcoming the new, you'll start to see all this stuff showing up for you, all the new, all the unfamiliar, all the invitations to explore your human nature of uncertainty, of fear, of uncomfortable situations because it's unfamiliar, right? And so again and again, we get to expand, embrace that human nature, and go through the mastery process of meet, merge, and move, strengthening those muscles, all while we are in position point of magicking too, inviting our vision, manifesting, inspiring, and leading, right? So then we transition into the realization phase, making things real. This is where the manifestation comes, inspiration and the leadership aspect come in. So we're putting all of this together, the mastery and the magicking, okay? Meeting the human aspects and resourcing our spiritual power. And it becomes a way of living. It's not just when you're meditating. It's not just when you're journaling. It's like going to the grocery store, right? Picking out something that's not on the shelf, resourcing your intuition to find a person in the store who, you know, can get the product for you. This is something I've experienced. Or, you know, when making a move, figuring out where to live, launching the global summit, you know, all of that invites you to integrate the mastery and the magicking process at the same time. And when we do, again, it invites us and gives us the opportunity to strengthen our knowing of our creative power, no longer prioritizing the 3D as the power place, right? It's like, oh, it's within me. I'm the creator of my reality. And the 3D is an effect of that, right? So as I'm shifting, as I'm expanding, as I'm evolving, learning, growing with love and compassion and authentic power within myself to choose what I know is in alignment for me, the results will be physicalized in your reality. But the 3D is more dense in nature. So sometimes it does take some transitioning, right? So it's kind of like that tornado example I shared in a previous YouTube video where you're at the center. And in this realize phase, it's like you are at peace within yourself. You understand the mastery and magicking process that, you know, who you're being influences your outcome, your energy, right? So you've integrated or are integrating your human and spiritual nature. You're in alignment with your vision and your soul's impulse, and you understand the partnership and the conscious surrender, no longer needing to control the external world so that you feel safe. It's like you are safe. You are the source of your love, power, and truth. And the 3D, the universe, is working in partnership with you, no longer resisting that. And so you're open and you're allowing, and you understand the synergy with the field for it to align with you, right? But if you're scattered and all over with what the qualities of your vision are, or the qualities of your spiritual nature, then the universe won't be able to line up, and it will result in confusion and things misaligned in your reality or your results, right? So we want to be very clear about our targets, our vision, the qualities of our spiritual nature. The details get filled in by the universe, right? It gives you the people, the circumstances, the opportunities for you to move forward on your path and align with, you know, the path of least resistance or the path of highest good. And they're both inviting you to integrate your human nature, merge with your spiritual nature, and realize wholeness within yourself and abundance in your experience of life. So that's part of the realize phase, right? Like you know it, and also you realize too that this is a never-ending process. Again, it's like Ironman after Ironman after Ironman. The first one, maybe you have beginner's mind. The second one, maybe a little bit more intimidated because you know what's to come, you know, kind of your experiences, you can base it on your previous one. And then the third one's like, wow, okay, I'm going to set some goals. I'm going to, you know, go for the run. I'm going to go for the bike. I'm going to go for the swim, or whatever, your time, right? So, you know, it's the same thing, except this is a life Ironman of metaphysical training. And so each time you build confidence, you gain new knowledge, just like the hermit, and you get to resource that light. You get to resource that power, that wisdom to support you as you move forward in life. Okay, so the gifts that come with answering your soul's call, I've mentioned them, you know what's coming. That is to heal, transform, manifest, inspire, and lead. And so all of these are aspects of the phases as well, right? So to heal and transform, those are, the integration in this partnership with the field of absolute potential. That's the game changer that creates the shift of expanded and advanced transitions and upgrades, because we're not doing it from the level that is our human nature, that's polarized, looking, through the lens of judgment, right? We are moving beyond that, but resourcing that as energy and information, okay? Transform. This is bringing consciousness to those old patterns and our potential, the meeting point in the middle where the fire is of transformation. Rebirth is there. Spirit, inspiration, right? We're bringing consciousness to that uncomfortable position point. We're sitting in the fire to meet, merge, and move in alignment with that inspired impulse of our soul, connected to source in our best interest and highest good. The renewal phase is the manifestation, right? Like I'm inviting the new, and you start to see the results coming in. You're realizing that, and then you're inspired. You are in spirit, right? And then can lead your life as the sovereign engineer, the master metaphysician of your life, meeting life energetically, right? And, just to kind of go through each one here, I may not go through all of these points, but just to kind of overview of this. Healing is the alchemy in action, resourcing and strengthening your metaphysical power to liberate yourself from limits. That's the power of the sovereign, right? And cross thresholds with perspective, stability. That's all energy. Perspective, stability, and soul-aligned direction. Really important. And so when we can bring consciousness to the aspects that we've outgrown or no longer serve our vision or the qualities of our soul who we're becoming, then we can reclaim with inspired intention and direction to be resourced and up-leveled, okay? And again, true self-acceptance, love, and fulfillment can only be accessed and experienced through expanded levels of consciousness. That is our soul nature, because the human mind, the human nature is limited, conditioned, rooted in lack and judgment, and it goes through the life and death cycle. So it's very unstable, okay? Transform. This again is that position of power, willing to step outside your comfort zone. That's key. Change the norm, change the familiar. Say yes to your inspired vision, to grow, to stretch, to evolve, to make a difference within yourself and experience of life, and to realize your true potential. Okay, no longer holding yourself back, playing small, but continue to train your metaphysical muscle to break through limits, and they will show up again and again and again and again and again. Will always come up because we are human. Okay, so it's not like it goes away. The difference is we see it, we're more aware, and we're more skilled. We know how to meet it. We have the tools, okay, to liberate ourselves from those limits, okay? That's your power, because it's always going to be here. And when you have the tools and the resources to meet them, then there's a release. You understand it's part of our journey, okay? Part of the evolutionary process. We just get more skilled at it. Okay, because we're always growing and evolving. That means we're always stepping into new territory. We're always stretching beyond our comfort zone when we choose to. Okay, so when we do that, inevitably we're going to dive into that lake of consciousness, into the muck, and stir up resistance, stir up fear, stir up confusion, where we get to bring consciousness to that, and again, reclaim it, call it back, turn the lights on, and realize, the truth of who we are. And we can navigate that from a position of stability, because we know how to access these tools. And in that, we create transformation. We create, every time we change a pattern, we bring consciousness to that, we create new potential. What? Isn't that cool? That's why I love this so much. Right? So you're changing paradigms, you're changing your realities, you're changing the quality of your life when you bring consciousness to that. from a thorough energetic standpoint and position of power, this embodiment of consciousness, of knowing who you are. Okay, so meeting life energetically and making conscious choices is huge. Okay, then we move into the gifts of manifesting, right? This is where we see the results of how our energy is shifting, changing, and expanding, and we're manifesting the people, places, circumstances, opportunities, the synergistic happenings that are aligning us with our highest good. Okay, and we want to reaffirm that. We can also do that by saying, this is normal. This is part of my practice. This is a lifestyle. This is normal for me. It's not a big thing, right? Because then that puts a lot of pressure on yourself to do it again and again. But if it's normal, like learning a language or riding your bike or driving your car, you don't even think about it anymore. Manifesting can become that for you too. Okay. Resourcing your creative intelligence. Again, all of these, the difference is you from like old, stuff that's out there, maybe you've tried in the past, it's not working. What the difference is here is you are partnering with the field of absolute potential, your unique creative intelligence that's going to be specific to you as you train your metaphysical muscles. Okay, that's your intuition, your creative intelligence, your imaginations, your dreams, those impulses, and so forth. That's all very unique to you and how that will surface for you, but you get to integrate that and again, make manifesting part of your lifestyle. Okay. And so really what you're doing is directing spiritual energy, the inspired impulse, and physicalizing it. Inspiration is another gift of saying yes to your soul's call. This is being in spirit, embodying and aligning with your soul nature to navigate life through the lens or perspective of expanded consciousness. The qualities of your soul nature, so crisp, so clear, so pristine, so vibrant, so balanced and beautiful, right? As the observer and experiencer. Resourcing creative intelligence to express oneself and influence individual and collective well-being, right? When we are inspired, think about a time when you were inspired. It's like, I know for me, I was inspired to, produce this class because all of this learning is coming together and it feels inspiring me to share. So there's generosity in spirit that comes with that when you are living in spirit. You are living in alignment with your truth, with your soul's call, and you just want to share it with the world, right? So you're living and breathing. To inhale is to inspire, to breathe in spirit, right? No longer rejecting, right? Pushing it away or closing off, feeling like you need to protect yourself from outside forces, right? No, you are one with it. You're breathing with it. You are protected. You are the source of that, of your love, power, and truth. You are protected. You are guided. And man, defense is down, right? And that gives spirit room to move. And then it invites us to calibrate and harmonize with the truth of who we are, all while having human experiences to, again, evolve, grow, and resource our creative power for highest good. So again, this is an ongoing process. And it continues to expand. So the inspiration you feel now, the love you feel now, the fulfillment you feel now will continue to expand as you align with your soul's call again and again and again. It doesn't stop. And then leadership, the gift of answering your call. This is being the, sovereign engineer of your own life, a master of your own mind, a master of your energy, where you have the space and the bandwidth, the tools, the resources to navigate life, the human experience, the ups, the downs, the everything in between. And yes, you are going to experience sadness, frustration, anger. It's all energy. But when we can meet it energetically, it doesn't have power over us. And there's a big difference with that. I know that's been my personal experience. And so we get to move with it as embodied consciousness, as an aspect of that, and say, hey, how is this moving for me? And then call on the higher mind to show you how to direct it, where to direct it, what it wants from you, what it wants to tell you, what you want to say to it, right? It's not just a one-way conversation. So you're having this exchange, energetic exchange and conversation of energy and information that's influencing your quality of life. Okay. So your energy level of consciousness speaks, it connects, it engages, it reflects your inner and outer reality. Soak that in. Okay. The sovereign engineer of your life, able to resource your metaphysical power to navigate the human and spiritual experience of life, as I mentioned. And the more that you align and embody your spiritual nature, the more fulfilled and generous you become. And, it's not to say that people who aren't in alignment aren't generous. What I'm saying is it's clean, right? Like, it's not coming from a place of insecurity and needing to give to be accepted or feeling obligated, right? It's generous, it's genuine in spirit, it's natural, right? And so, we exchange that energy amongst our friends and family and experiences in life, even in projects that we create, right? So keeping that in mind as well. So you're not only doing yourself a favor, but you're influencing your environment as well. The energy and bandwidth to be present is the greatest position of power and potential. Like if you think about relationships, the one thing I think we can all maybe agree upon is, presence is so powerful, to be in the presence of someone else, but that comes with the ability to be present with yourself. The more present you are with yourself, the more depth that you get to navigate in this lake of consciousness, and the more, safe you feel within yourself, because you've been to these, different territories within yourself. And, people feel that. And we have space for that within ourselves, and therefore, have that level to have space for other people, again, bringing in consciousness to that energetic alignment with that and so forth. But the greatest gift is that you can give yourself really is, the presence of being with yourself and the uncomfortableness of being human, where we get to meet and merge with our soul nature, which is loving, compassionate, understanding, and authentic in nature, genuine in nature, discerning in nature. Okay, so now we're coming to the end here. You may be wondering the role of your soul on the human and spiritual path. Though I know I touched upon this, and the question of whether, does everyone get a call from their soul, and what happens if you answer the call and if you don't. Okay, so the role of your soul, you guys know? This is the inner guidance connected to your higher mind, expressed as your unique intuitive language. I like to think of the soul as the middleman between source and self, our human nature. It's connected to the highest expression of intelligence. I think of Einstein and, his brilliance. He was super connected, right? He was immersed in his soul nature, and it just kind of flows through. And it's propelling your evolutionary journey. It's so grateful for your human body, because without it, it wouldn't be able to evolve, have relationships and experiences in life as consciousness experiencing itself. So that is essential to your process. And the soul just wants nothing but the best for you, right? Always looking out in your best interest. That's why I wrote a blog about this on my Michelle King coaching website, that, your intuition, your soul is your number one lover, supporter, guide, coach, teacher, whatever it is that, you want to partner with, really. And it's always directing you in alignment with your highest good. It sees the unseen, it knows the unknown. It's the universal intelligence and creative power that is you and all around you, okay? It's the golden thread that weaves our human and spiritual nature together, always aligning us. When we abandon, dismiss, reject, or avoid what we know to be in our best interest, we know it, we feel it, doesn't feel good, right? We feel off, out of balance. we ultimately are compromising our energy and quality of life. And sometimes, that's part of our human experience. I know I've been there. And we use that through learning. We're like, oh, okay, I see how this was. I was kind of beating my head up against a brick wall here, kind of stubborn part of me that, is very much invested in has opinions about things, but it's like, no, I don't need to change this. I don't need to move on from this, right? I can do this. We can figure it out. But when it's not in alignment anymore, then that's your cue. And, everybody's different. We all have different thresholds for that. So once we get to train that language of our soul and become more familiar with it, we can adjust quickly, and start to step into greater qualities of life for our highest good. And actually that creates a win-win-win for you, your experience, and the collective, right? So whether your experience is with a person, a life circumstance, a job, health and fitness, whatever that might be, when you choose to live in alignment with your truth and align and balance that, being principle, not personal, you create a win-win-win effect. Okay. And that influences the whole. And does everyone get a soul call? I'd say so. We are consciousness experiencing itself, as I mentioned. So we have these relationships and experiences to map out and remember we are more than 3D, right? And the nudges, impulses, epiphanies, inspiration, signs, and synchronicities from subtle whispers, which I've gotten, to extreme loud and clear wake-up calls is inevitable. I've gotten those too. So, whether one answers the call is free will. That's huge. So not everyone does, and it's always a choice. And I feel like that's important to recognize because it is a choice. And with that, there's a claiming of power of that, of honor, of, grace in that, of saying, I'm answering my soul's call. I'm willing to navigate the unknown. I'm willing to stretch and grow and evolve. I'm willing to meet myself in the process, the self being the human nature, as well as remember my true nature, my core essence of who I am, and navigate this human experience as having, experiences, right? All showing me and teaching me and guiding me more and more into alignment with the fullest expression of this life, right? Okay, so what happens if you don't answer the call? Well, I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. I'm guessing, what we resist persists, right? So it's not like it goes away. It's those nudges. It's that gut feeling of, something's off. And really what that creates is more imbalance. And with that comes dis-ease. It shows up in the body as pain. It shows up in our life circumstances as chaos, as challenge, as crisis, in our mind as overthinking, of doubt, of blame and competing. And, it just, life's unfair. The victim pops in or the martyr pops in, so just being aware of that, it's, that will just continue. Those old patterns typically continue when you don't answer the call, all inviting you and nudging you to look within yourself, to realize you have all the tools and resources within you to light your own way, that you are the light of your life. And when we start to turn those lights on and realize, like, whoa, I do have this, and I have this intimate, amazing, beautiful relationship with my soul that I can develop through my intuition, then it becomes a joy and an honor and so sacred, to journey in this life. And especially with the people you meet, especially with, the leaps that you make again and again and again, you cherish them. You see the value in it all. You see the beauty in it all. You see the beauty and the beast, really. But ultimately, it's treasure. It's treasured. So yeah, I feel like I got more onto what happens when you do answer the call. So when you don't answer that call, I feel like life is grim. It's, it seems hopeless. And ultimately, you're coming from that lower level of mind that is limited in resources. So it's blind to the reality or the potential that's right there in front. And so all it requires is the clearing of the lens to be able to see what's right there and to feel and to know that you do have the power, you do have the strength, you do have the courage, and the ability to transform your life and liberate yourself from perceived limits. And again, it's not that it goes away, you just get more skilled with the training that comes along. And again, we look forward to that. It's like your master metaphysicians, and the world is your training ground. Okay. Your life is your training ground. Okay. So to close, I just want to say thank you for being here, for your presence, for engaging with me, whether you're here on live or this is, you're watching the replay. I'm so celebrating you and your courage to leap into the lake of consciousness and answer your soul's call within yourself, an experience of life for individual and collective evolutionary wellness. It's really something I feel like is so, it's just part of our nature. A lot of people that, resonate with my messages, they have been on the spiritual path, have been on, the journey of self-development. And I know for me, I hit a crossroad where, I thought I had done so much work, and, I'd done a lot of, inner child work. I had done, a lot of mastery work, really. But the game changer for me, which is what I invite in all of my programs, was partnering with the creative field of intelligence. Like, even in, my childhood and growing up, I didn't realize that I was doing that in some instances. And when I was working with my mentor and coach, it helped to bring awareness to how that was working for me in the past. But when you can bring consciousness to that, and you can be deliberate with, how you access your intuition and your creative intelligence, and partnering with the field of absolute potential, it becomes a team. You have a team of support with you. And so it's like fun, that's why I call it magicking, because the mastery part is being able to step into the magicking, into your vision, into the seemingly impossible. And without the mastery, we don't have the stability to fully embody and realize, make real our visions, or the seemingly impossible, right? We'll collapse, we'll shut down. It's too scary. It's like someone who's never given a speech and then has to go on stage in front of millions of people. They're not going to have the stability to stand up there and project and have an energetic exchange, right? So the same thing is with your vision. The mastery is essential foundation for that, so that you can expand that vision and really access your creative power in that. And so I know that that's been a life enhancing tool for me, to be able to partner with the things I thought were weird or out there, or didn't even know that other people didn't experience, or, I always thought that that was normal to have, these vivid dreams or intuitive impulses and, knowings and so forth that I just couldn't explain. I didn't know that that was something that could be even further developed and resourced to support, especially when you answer your soul's call and step into new territory. And really for those who are inspired to know their truth, embody their truth, and really immerse themselves in inherent worthiness. And I know I've talked about this in previous classes and so forth, but it's beyond the rationalizing or the thinking and the knowing, like the I know I'm worthy part, but it's the embodiment of that. And this process is what helped me integrate that. So it's a joy and a pleasure to be able to share this with you. And again, thank you. I'm going to open this up to Q&A. I appreciate your engagement. I'm going to go back to the regular screen here. But before I go, I did want to announce too that, if you are resonating with what I'm sharing, if this feels enriching to you and just, feels like maybe a soul call for you, I am offering a group dynamic for mastermind for 3 months. And there'll be 9 sessions, 90 minutes each. You can check that out at the MagicKingCenter.com under the group page. And I would love to hear from you if you have any questions on this. And so much of that is very much what I shared with you today. So if you're looking to, release, renew, and realize your true potential, I invite you to join us. And again, if you go to the website, you'll check out more information there. And if you subscribe, you'll receive an application to apply, and I'm accepting those through September 15th. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I, again, invite you to apply. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share screen here. I'll come back to you guys. All right, thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you being here for the live. I'm curious if you have any questions. I'm here. I'm open to, do video, or you can put any questions or comments in the chat. You just let me know. If you want to share anything, you can raise your hand, or again, type into the chat. Be curious to know where you are on your spiritual path. If you're able to identify, are you in the release phase? Are you in the renewal phase? Are you in the realization phase? Are you focused on healing, transformation, manifestation, inspiration, like aligning with your soul purpose and your path, and leadership? So again, if you like, you can use the chat there. See you guys. But I also can appreciate if, you're just listening and joining in. That's cool too. So just let me know. We got 2 Nancys here today too. Beautiful. Beautiful. And I'm also always curious where you guys are tuning in from. All right. Any questions? Again, I'm so celebrating you guys wherever you are on the spiritual path. Something that's often showed up, and I did share in a video, is this feeling of loneliness, and, realizing too that it is a solo journey, but, we are navigating this, as a collective as well. And so it's really fun and cool, especially in like the group dynamics where we get to show up and hear other people's shares and stories and experiences and implement these tools and principles to realize results and see how it, accelerates transformation and growth. We have we connect the dots really quickly. And, so it's super fun in that regard. I'll just throw that out there. But, again, navigating this soul alignment process is very enriching and empowering. And, I wish you all well. I know it can be scary. I know it can be confusing and overwhelming. And I can't highlight enough how amazing and essential these tools have been for me on the path, and being able to recalibrate, being able to empower myself to align with the truth by understanding our human and spiritual qualities, as well as, having experience after experience after experience of validating that, how this works. And so if you got, a little something or a lot of something from today's masterclass, yay. I, again, appreciate you being here and sharing in this space with me. I wish you all well, and feel free to reach out at any time. If there are any topics or, specifics that you're curious about, I'm happy to share. So again, shoot me an email at mkingcoaching@gmail.com. Again, remember that group mastermind is coming up, and deadline for the application will be September 15th. So check it out at the MagicKingCenter.com on the group page. And I look forward to connecting with you all soon. Thanks again for being here today. I wish you well.